Here we have the thought that occurred to him that he might need tax relief gave him a bad case of the vapors. Um, there's a number of things going on here. We've got several verbs. Um, so he might need tax relief. That's a subject verb combination. That he might need tax relief, that can't stand alone as a sentence. Uh, Something gave him a bad case of the vapors. What? The thought boils down to the thought. Uh, the thought gave him a bad case of the vapors. So that can stand alone as a sentence. So let's put that on our baseline as the main clause. So thought, which thought? The thought. So that's adjective. Now, let's take this piece by piece. So, which thought? The thought that occurred to him. That's which thought. So, which is an adjective question. So, which one, what kind of, how many? So that means this is going to be a relative clause, one that functions as an adjective. So that goes down below the baseline. Something occurred. How did it occur? To him. That's how. So that's adverbial coming off of occurred. And what occurred? That occurred. That's what. What is our noun question. So that is the relative pronoun. We draw a dotted line between the relative pronoun and the thing that it is modifying, that it is referring back to, its antecedent. So the thought that occurred to him, namely that he might need tax relief. Now that might look, you might say, well, there's another relative clause, but that's not the case, because the thought is that he might need tax relief. That he might need tax relief is exactly the same as the thought that occurred to him. They are equals. That means that this is a noun because, of course, the thought that occurred to him is a noun phrase with a clause inside it, and the head of the phrase is thought. Oh, that was ugly. Get rid of that. I can't. So we're just going to have to live with that. So that means it's in a positive. The thought, so that means it's a nominal clause. We'll put it up on a pedestal as we always do. So the subject is he. Might need is the verb. What got needed? Sounds a little funny, but tax relief, that is a compound noun. Tax relief is a kind of relief. It's not a kind of tax, and that means that relief is the head of that noun phrase. Tax is saying what kind of relief it is. So it's a noun, obviously, if you look it up in a dictionary, but it is functioning adjectively. And that fills up our baseline. And so, as sometimes happens with nominal clauses, we realize that that is an expletive. It actually doesn't do anything. Grammatically, you can't name, that it's not it can't do the things that a noun does. It's not a subject or an object or a compliment or anything out like that, so we just send it up to expletive heaven there. So the thought that occurred to him that he might need tax relief, that's the whole subject. That's everything to the left of the cross there. And it gave, that's what it did, it gave him, it gave to him. So what got given? A bad case of the vapors. And you might be tempted to put vapors here, but because it's the most substantive word, the most interesting word, but of course vapors is inside a prepositional phrase. You're never going to find the head of a noun phrase inside a prepositional phrase like that. So unless there's another prepositional phrase inside that, a bad case of the vapors boils down to case. So gave to him, so that him is an indirect object, and we diagram that this way. It's like a prepositional phrase, but without the preposition. Gave him case. So what, I'm just going to connect all that up. This is not anything. It's not like there's some massive objective complement off the screen. Case of vapors. What kind of case? A case of the vapors of the, which vapors? The vapors. Which case? A case. What kind of case? Bad case. So that's everything. And as far as thinking about the phrases in this sentence, so and if we look at for the noun phrases first, so case is the head of a noun phrase, and if we break it off right there, the diagram, we see that a bad case of the vapors, everything that's hanging off, everything we're holding in our hand and waving around, that's one noun phrase, and it has another noun phrase inside it. There's vapors. If we break that off, we see that a noun phrase is the vapors. Just looking for other nouns. Relief is a noun, and if we broke off where relief is, we'd see we'd be waving around tax relief. So tax relief is a noun phrase. And thought is another noun. And if we broke that off there, what we'd be waving around is the thought that occurred to him. So that is another noun phrase. So the noun phrases are the thought that occurred to him, tax relief, the vapors, and a bad case of the vapors. So you see you have one noun phrase inside another. And as far as prepositional phrases, you've got of the vapors, and that is modifying case, and therefore it's adjectival. And you've also got to him, and that is modifying occurred and is therefore adverbial. And that's that.